The normcore trend started. Normcore was first spotted in 2008 when internet cartoonist Ryan Delgado joked about a trend so stupid it could never exist. Later, an art collective posing as trend forecasters predicted normcore would be the trend of the next generation. It started to catch on and the look became mainstream by 2013. Normcore was a reaction to mass alternative, a world where the internet made it too easy to find a niche. The only way left to be different was to embrace being the same. Now everyone wears sweater vests and grandpa shoes, and it's easy to forget that normcore began as a meme.
Reasons why tooth gems are so popular.
Reason number 1. Black creators set the trend long before Gen Z, spending thousands to complete their looks with custom charms. Which brings us to reason number 2. Tooth gems are cheap now. You can get a DIY tooth gem kit from Gemsies or Etsy for around $30.
And reason number 3 why tooth gems are so popular right now? COVID. Because we're bored at home, DIY is going viral. And since our social lives are virtual, it makes sense to dress our faces for it.
Kawaii style is actually rebellious. Kawaii started during the 1960s student protests in Japan. Students adopted cute styles of dressing to protest against the norms of adulthood. Kawaii, which means cute or lovable, contrasted with the aesthetics of authority. At first, the style was banned in many Japanese schools, but big brands co-opted the increasingly popular style. Kawaii now has spread all over the world, and the look has evolved into something very different than the Kawaii 60s Japan. But the desire to protest against adulthood lives on.
Grandparents didn't call these things a hoodie. In the 1930s, the Knickerbocker Knitting Company made the first hooded sweatshirt. The company is now known as Champion. Back then they were called sideline sweatshirts. Hoodies were worn as workwear until the 1970s. The film Rocky inspired college athletes to take the look to the streets. The style was adopted by skaters and, very importantly, hip-hop artists. Designers like Norma Kamali also brought the hooded sweatshirt to catwalks. The term hoodie was finally coined in the 90s. At the time it was derogatory, highlighting association with crime. Sweats and streetwear are now part of everyday wear. The term hoodie has taken on a fonder meaning. But did you know? These sneakers sold for over $13,000. But they aren't real. Well, sort of. They're part of a new breed of fashion, one that exists in the digital space. It's like buying skins in Fortnite, or dressing up in Animal Crossing. The difference is these sneakers are one-of-one tokens tied to blockchain, just like cryptocurrency. They're called NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. It may seem strange to pay a hefty price for something you can't wear, but you probably wouldn't wear collectible shoes anyway. It's all for clout, and potential resale profit. Truth about corsets. Some argue the corset trend appeals to unrealistic beauty standards, but historically many corsets were designed to support, not constrict. Women added padding to achieve a wasp-looking waist. Corsets are having a resurgence now, this time with a feminist perspective. Rather than forcing the body to conform, modern corsets conform to the body of the wearer. They're empowering and work for all sizes. It's not the corsets themselves that are the problem, but the harmful beauty standards. Crop tops are for everyone, but when a straight man wears a crop top now, it's seen as a statement. That wasn't always true. Crop tops were popularized by football players in the 1980s. They wore tearaways to avoid being tackled on field. It was the perfect way to show off muscles without being shirtless, but by the end of the 90s, the look disappeared from sports. And now people seem to forget that.
The bimbo aesthetic has a new meaning, and it's challenging misogyny. Remember this infamous meme? It illustrates a stereotype that dressing hot means you're dumb. The new bimbo rejects that myth.
A bimbo isn't dumb. She's actually a radical leftist.
The new bimbo fashion is inclusive. It's not about dressing for anyone else. It's about having a confident mindset and saying sexism, regardless of what you wear. Supreme stole their logo. Yes, this logo. It launched in 1994. Supreme's founder took ideas from artist Barbara Kruger. He gave a book of her work to their graphic designer. The style is instantly recognizable. A feature bold font in italics over red box. Kruger's work features feminist, anti-capitalist messages. At first, Kruger stayed silent on the similarities, but then Supreme took it way too far. They tried to sue a female designer for ripping their logo. Needless to say, Kruger was pissed. So that's what happened when vintage bootlegs cost more than official pieces. They're created by Dapper Dan, a designer and clothier who started in the 70s. As a black man from Harlem, it was impossible to break into the industry. He shoplifted clothes and bootleg logos. But his clothes weren't knockoffs, he called them knock-ups. Big stars in sports and music wore his designs. Then, designer brands forced him to close his business. That's when they ripped him off, leaving to question who the copycat actually was. In 2018, Dan worked with Gucci for an official collection, which acknowledged the brilliance of his designs. And that's why